All right, well, it's 6 o'clock, so I'm going to get started. Just wanted to do a short piece this evening, just go over the syllabus real quick. And there is a video that you probably can watch in the contents section. I just turned that on, but it doesn't look like anybody else is going to join us. So, Jaron, it's you and me. All right.
Good evening. So it's just me and you.
Yeah, just us. All right, that's okay. So you get the A in the course. Everybody else will figure it out. I don't know. All right, real easy. I'll keep it short and sweet. The syllabus is available and everything like this, so I'm just going to go through a couple of things. One of the things is that the textbook, even though it's an ebook and it's published up there and so forth, we're only using that for reference. So I do not do, chapter and then do the questions, then do the quiz, then do, all this stuff. So that's not a worry. So the textbook will be for pretty much research only. When it comes to the internet, let me let Carolina in, or Carolina, and she's connecting. Okay. All right, I guess she's with us.
Good evening.
So how are you? How's everything?
Thank you.
All right, so it's three of us, so it's going to be a great short evening. But I just want to go through the syllabus. Look, bottom line, and I can net some of this out. Syllabus is in the content section on Blackboard. There is an intro video that I created that covers what areas I think we'll do this semester. So when you get around to it, please watch that. And this way I won't bore you with the same stuff this evening. But a couple of things I do want to go through on the syllabus. First thing I started to mention was that in terms of the textbook, the operations management textbook, it's a McGraw-Hill book. It's an ebook. We use it only for reference. So at the end of the day, the idea that it's more involved than that. Questions, quizzes, all of this. We don't do that. That's not what's happening. So it's just a place to go to if there's no place else that appeals to you or occurs to you. And instead of just doing chapters 1 through, excuse me, 24 or whatever, and then the traditional thing is, and then we do the chapter questions, then we do a quiz, then we, and so on and so forth. There's plenty of research that supports the idea that teaching that way, for those that, teach, is really, it's not that it's futile, but the retention rate of doing it that way is got a sharp fall off. Within the first 30 days, most students retained something, above or close to 60% of what was covered. When you go out 60 or 90 days, the fall off is just astronomical. There's further research that suggests that if you pick several things, 5 or 6 or 7 key topics, key takeaways from a particular course, the retention on that is much longer. So that's what I've adopted over the years. So we will be covering some things topically, and when you watch the video, you'll see which of the topics we're going to spend some time with. And I'll speak more to that in a minute. As far as internet utilization, these Zooms, since this is an asynchronous or non-synchronous online course, means there's no attendance requirement. I will try and from time to time we may shift because sometimes students say, look, I'd like to attend, but I can't make the time slot that's been picked. But when you have, excuse me, like 35 students, it's kind of like herding squirrels, nobody can meet at the same time. So, we'll try and figure something out, but I am always available for a private Zoom. So, send an email and, we'll figure out a time when we can both meet. So that's always available. In terms of internet utilization, we'll be using Blackboard and Zoom, obviously. And that's pretty basic stuff. But the one of the things that's come up, and I'm going through this in no particular order, but one of the things that's come up that I have embraced, and I can't say that's the same for all professors, but I've embraced the idea of AI and using that as the tool that it is. And whether it's generative AI or predictive AI and on and on and on, because there are many. Many of us, if not all of us, have gotten used to the idea of Chat GBT or Genesis, or if you prefer Elon's product, Grok, and there are several. There are plenty of LLMs and LLMs out there. But the point being that, for example, I use Chat GBT, and I don't mean it specifically, but somewhat generically. If we have to write a paper, or and that doesn't apply so much in this course, but if we have to write a paper or something like that, what's the first thing we do, or I would argue ought to do? And that's go to Chat GBT and plug in, hey, I need a 7-page paper, formatted APA 7th, fully cited and referenced. And in about 2 minutes, Chat GBT spits it out and you have it in your hand. Now, to me, that's the wise use of new technology, because ChatGPT, AI is not going away. It's a tool, and with an engineering background as I have, I embrace new tools. I went to school when we had slide rules, and calculators were a big thing. So, the point being that this is the latest iteration of technology that, helps us in the classroom. And the point is that I'm not saying you just it ends there. You spit this thing out and that's the end of it. You spit the thing out and then you make corrections, you make additions. Now you get to do the creative part of the pyramid, the hierarchy, almost like Maslow. You get to do the hierarchy stuff that's at the higher end, and let Chat GBT do the mundane stuff, do the researching, find sources for you, and all of this stuff, because it would take you hours if you had to do a paper, and there is a little bit of research involved in this course, but most of it I've taken care of. But the larger point being that the use of AI, whether it's Chat GBT or Genesis or whatever, that's a tool, and I don't frown on it. I encourage its use. What else? Obviously Zoom and so forth. We will endeavor to always be here, but sometimes, I wish I were sitting on the beach that's behind me. But we're due for about 18 inches of snow this weekend, is what I'm hearing. So if that materializes, we lose power up here. I live up in the mountains in North Jersey, so we lose power here frequently. And so if that happens and I don't show up, believe me, it's for a good reason. We just didn't have electricity and internet and stuff like that. So just be aware that happens. As far as other stuff in the syllabus, you can read most of that course description and objectives of the course and expected learning outcomes and all this kind of stuff. Grading is always a concern, so let me address a couple of things there. The only deliverables that we will be using, and unless something comes up that seems really important, and it came out of left field, so we'll allow for that. But really, what the deliverables are, you will have 2 quizzes. Both of them will be posted. As a matter of fact, they both are posted in the content section. I got to make sure they're open. One is on forecasting, and one is on something called CPM, critical path method. So those will be 2 quizzes. And there's a point that I'm getting to also. There will be 3 things that I task you, which are not for grade, but they are for turning, because I got to make sure you have a handle on how to do this stuff. And it involves optimization using Microsoft Solver. That Solver is the Excel add-in, and it allows us to do sensitivity analysis and, optimize, and we're always at least in this course, we're, looking for, results, optimized results one way, maximize something or minimize something, maximize profits, minimize costs, whatever. So that's a big piece of what we're looking at. And that will be tasked through 3. You'll have video presentations, videos that I put together showing the PowerPoint slides and exactly how to go about doing it. So there's nothing, real involved there. And then you have a final project, not an exam or anything like this, but a final project that incorporates some of these points that we're interested in covering, or I'm certainly interested in covering, and hope that you'll become interested in that as well. And we call it, or I call it Betty's Bats, and it incorporates forecasting, critical path, which, we'll figure out what that is within the next couple of weeks, and then using this solver and so forth. And we'll put more meat on the bones. But bottom line is those are your deliverables in addition to some things I'm going to post on the discussion board. So that's really it. Now, the first question, when is it due? At this moment in time, and it could change if stuff comes downhill. So if I get hit with something unexpected, I may change something. But what I've done in the last several years with this course, and what I'm anticipating we will do this semester, is the due date for everything except the forecasting quiz. The due date for everything except the forecasting quiz is the end of the semester. I'm not a believer in artificial due dates. I sat where you sit a lot of years ago, granted, but I sat where you sit, and I hated, well, that's not a kind word. I disliked professors that would just come up with, I mean, these edicts. They would come up with, well, this is due Thursday by the close of business, and if you don't have it in by then, don't bother submitting it. Well, stuff it, pal. I mean, what are you kidding? Life goes on. We all have stuff to do. Does that mean that if I have it there by the close of business on Thursday, Friday morning, I can expect the result in my grade? Of course not. So then why would somebody do an arbitrary, it just never made sense to me. So I always, and I never thought I'd be doing this, but, I always thought that if I ever did, get in front of a classroom and do this for a living, that's one of the first things I'd change, because that's ridiculous. So we all have stuff. Now, would it be better some things come in sooner rather than later? Sure. But I'm not going to create artificial due dates. Whatever is assigned, with the exception of the forecasting quiz, and I'll explain that in a second. But with the exception of that, everything is due the end of the semester. And hopefully that makes life better for us. The reason forecasting is not attached to that is somewhere along the line, and I was never a fan of midterms, but somewhere along the line, some of the powers that be came up and said, got to have a midterm. And I looked, and the midterm requirements, the grades due, seem to come up. I mean, we're starting here in January. It seems like by the end of February, early March, grades are due, for a midterm. So I scratch my head and I say, well, what are you really assessing, so quickly into the semester, where we've barely had a chance to learn some things, let alone string them together in a way that makes some sense. So I decided that we do the forecasting quiz as the midterm grade. Now, again, none of these are there. It's not a timed quiz. It's not an in-classroom, obviously, quiz. It's already posted in contents. I just want to make sure I have it enabled for your access. And it's sitting there, and it's going to sit there. And it's easy. It's what the PowerPoint slides talk about. So, I mean, if you pay attention to the PowerPoints and you look at that, or you do whatever you do, you go to ChatGPT, you will be able to generate the solution to this forecasting thing very easily. But that's what we're doing for a midterm. But that's why that has a due date. I mean, like a real live due date that is not the end of the semester. What else? Well, grading. Everybody's, a bit grade phobic. So on the quizzes, the two quizzes and the taskings, I've plugged an arbitrary number. It's not random. It's not, really directive. It's arbitrary. So 35%, 20% on the discussion board, and 45% on the final project, Betty's Bats. I think you'll find that as we go forward to be quite reasonable. When you go through the syllabus, you'll find an estimated schedule, and that's done topically. And so when you see things like due and all of this, and I don't think I think I took most of it out of there, but sometimes the syllabus is also written for the powers that be, and when we teaching staff, professors, whatever, when we plug in, well, we're giving the students a 20-page paper, APA, they love this stuff. They think that's just great. So, point being, this is why I'm telling you what we're really going to do. So you have no 20-page papers. You have no quizzes that are ambush style quizzes. You don't have a real live midterm exam that's, heavy math or anything like this. So just, breathe deeply and we'll try and follow the schedule. Probably, and we'll see if we have power on Monday, because the storm I'm hearing now is the heavy part is Sunday into Monday. I mean, if I heard it right, the news channel is saying, channel 12, as they're often wrong, I'll put it that way. Then it's a tough business to try and forecast or predict what's going to happen. They're talking like 18 inches of snow. New York City could even get 2 feet. Well, I guarantee you, we get 18 inches of snow and any kind of wind conditions up here. Power lines are coming down, so we may not meet Monday. But, if we do meet Monday, for anybody that chooses to attend, because this is totally voluntary, what I try and do is record some of these things. So this way, someone can, go back after I'm able to put it up on YouTube and, look at it and get some sense out of it. But we'll start to talk about, a little bit more about the project and introduce forecasting. And, if we look at the estimated schedule, it says January 23rd. We're really starting to look at different forecasting methods or techniques: moving averages, simple moving averages, weighted moving averages, exponential smoothing, things like that. So we'll start to get into that. I'll send some things out during the week, and I'll also highlight some videos that you have a hand. Go
Yes,
ahead.
Professor. Yes, you mentioned that we meet on Mondays too. The Zoom sessions are on Monday
Totally,
also.
totally voluntary. These sessions, because this is an online class, but it's
Yeah.
asynchronous. So, for now, we're going to try and meet 6 o'clock on Mondays for those that want to attend. Now, the
Okay,
other
no
side
more
of that
Wednesday
is,
anymore because I have my calendar on Wednesdays. The
okay, all right. Well, maybe we'll go to Wednesday if that
no,
works out a
no, no.
little
I just
better.
want
It
to make
depends.
sure that the date is
Yeah.
correct. I don't come
Oh,
to.
no, no, no. Did I said, I'm thinking, you know what? No, you are right. Wednesday. What am I saying? I'm half asleep here, because to me it's a Monday. Today was the first day of school, so I'm thinking it's Monday. It's actually Wednesday.
Okay.
Carolina, you are correct. That's my first, my bad, and there'll be many. So you're right. Wednesday, Wednesday, Wednesday. As we are meeting here is what we will do. Wednesday. Yeah, that's, you know, well, I have to be polite. It's the first night, but, can you spell dumbass? And I look in the mirror when I say that. So yeah, thank you for that. Thank you for raising your hand and pointing that out. Yes, Wednesday. I don't know what the hell I'm thinking, but anyway, yeah. So Wednesdays will be voluntary Zooms. I will try and be accommodating. So if I get like an insurrection going where, 20 people say, we don't like, then we'll try and do something different. But we'll start with Wednesdays. But the other side of it is, if stuff comes up, we can always do a private Zoom, and I will try, especially when there's anything of substance, I'll try to record these things as I, make many videos and put it up on YouTube, and I'll send the link, when I do that. So thank you for that. Rest of the schedule you can, look through. This is pretty much what we're going to do. You'll find out that where it says review for quiz, I mean, we certainly can do that, but you'll find out that there's probably not much, need for that. And then it says February 4th, quiz one. Well, that's a tentative date, because while the forecasting quiz is the midterm grade, I have to find out, and we should know this week, when the midterm grades are really going to be due, not what they initially published, because it always changes, but when the midterm grades are really going to be due, and then that may move a little bit. But once we get through the forecasting piece, it's not a big deal, and you'll see that it's in content. And then you can just work your way down, and if unless things change, we'll work our way down towards spring break. And topically, you can see the kinds of things that we're going to be talking about. There is one pre-assignment. It's not for grade, so no panic. It is not for grade. You go to the last page, and I guess it's probably 2 pages of the syllabus.
Yes, I was going to ask you about that because I was
Yeah.
gonna. how you mentioned in the syllabus that we have to submit it through your email, right? So I
Yeah,
worked,
go ahead.
I printed it and I did the work, but I don't know. Should I just take a picture and send it to you? That's how it should supposed to.
What
Is that how
whatever works best for you. Yeah, I see that. Thank you.
so
Whatever works best, whatever makes life better. The idea is that, and it's not for grade. What I'm trying to do with this is determine where we are as a group in terms of arithmetic, in terms of math, because some people are math phobic. So some areas later in the semester, we may make a decision to present it in terms of calculus or in terms of algebra. Most people prefer algebra, some people
algebra?
calculus. Right. Yeah, I know. And some people just have never had pre-calculus or calculus. So it makes it a little difficult. So what I do with this, my sole purpose in issuing this is to get it back from the students. I look through it and I see where we are as a group in terms of math. So it's not for grade or anything like that. As a matter of fact, I don't really care if you put your name on it or not. What I'm after is the data. Did everybody get everything correct on this? Well, if they did, then they understand calculus, and we'll just proceed. But a lot of students historically don't do that part because I ask everybody to be honest about it, and they're more comfortable in a less rigid math environment, which includes myself. I'm a fan of that. So the point being that we can then concentrate more on things like an algebraic approach to, sometimes what different groups refer to as linear programming or optimization and stuff like that. So it's later in the semester, but that is the one, in a sense, pre-assignment. But the other side of it is that, it's not for grade or anything like that. So it's just for information for me. So I know how to, run the course without seeming to torture everybody. As far as the rest of it, you can go through. I mean, as far as assignment submissions, I'm really a fan of whatever we submit, whether it's the tasking for optimization or whether it's the quizzes, or even this, like, Carolina, you pointed out, uh, take a screenshot of it, send it to me as an attachment, my NJCU email, my Gmail, both sometimes is not the worst idea. I mean, worst comes to worst, you could probably plug it into the message board, but I prefer it as a separate email and attachment because I store those things easier and so forth. So, but whatever makes life better. But I'd prefer it as an attachment to, email. And I'm just trying to think of what else I really wanted to mention. I think, oh,
Are
every,
we
go ahead.
yeah, about the discussions that you say that we're gonna have in Blackboard? So,
Yeah.
because I haven't seen any discussion yet. You're going to post the topic that we
Well,
have to talk about?
there are some historical discussions that I will, push forward again because topically they're the same, in the course semester to semester. So sometimes I just carry them over. So don't be confused by any dates, but I may tweak them a little bit. Point being that, yes, discussion board is something I'd like you to respond to. And there aren't that many that I post. But for example, if we go to, I'll see it'll stop recording if I swap out of the screen. So I don't want to do that. But if you look at the content section, usually all the way down the bottom, there'll be some discussion board questions from previous semesters that I've carried into the course content for this semester. So till till I throw those out there, there's nothing you really need to do. But when I throw some of that up, try and respond to it. Again, due date is the end of the semester, so you're not like under severe pressure. Oh, I've got to get this done. I'm going to be up till 2 in the morning. This is not the course where you're up 2 in the morning. We just don't do that. I got better things to do at 2 in the morning, and when you get to be my age, sleep becomes a factor. So that's that's really about it on the discussion board. I do want you to, think through and provide some, whatever this means, but reasonable answers and so forth. And it's just so that I can read and I may not always respond to it, but I'm just looking at, is somebody getting the sense of what we're trying to do here and the importance of what we're doing, or is somebody completely missing the point? In which case, I'll throw some other questions out there, or put up an additional video or something like that. So, hope that answers your question.
Okay.
Okay. And then as far as the rest of it, I mean, that's pretty much it. We the deliverables are relatively, I don't want to say easy, but I found over the years that when you have reasonable expectations that are on point and valid, and you don't unduly torture students with nonsense, I mean, the results are usually pretty spectacular. Most students do very well in my course, and if they have the takeaways that I expect, then you've really got some tools to take out. I hate the phrase; it's such a cliche, but into the real world, and all of that, whatever that means. So, a couple of quizzes, 3 taskings, discussion board. Your final is Betty's Bats, and we'll talk more about that as the semester unfolds. With that, questions, issues, or concerns that you have?
The Betty Bat, I just would like to know more about it. What is it about so I can start?
It won't mean a lot to you today, so we're not going to talk much about it. But it is a simple. Uh, it's a project that incorporates certainly 3 of the key areas, topical areas of study. It is, a contrived case where you're going to do some forecasting, and you're going to then do some time management using critical path method. We'll also, around CPM, critical path method, we'll also entertain throughput and things like that. Excuse me. And then in terms of optimization, the third major part of Betty's Bats involves using Microsoft Solver and optimizing the, in a sense, production and let's call it storage environment of that which we forecast as demand data to produce in a certain time frame, given what I refer to as the triple constraint: time, specifications, and money. And so when we do that, Betty's Bats is almost like it's not quite as sophisticated as a simulation. We'll just call it a case, but we're making up, in a sense, our own case and delivering a result. And this is why each thing that we do, forecasting, CPM, optimization, each thing builds on the next, but each one of those is useful to you because if for no other purpose, it is the 3 essential components of what your final delivers. But there are actually videos if you go to YouTube and you plug in and not everything unless you went specifically to my page. But I mean, even if you were to just plug in, John Lasky or Dr. John Lasky, you'll get some of it, and it's kind of mix and match. If you actually went to my page, then it just has all my videos in order. But there'll be things on
YouTube page?
each
Yeah,
step
I
of those.
subscribed it already. I'm there
Okay.
already. Yeah, looking
Okay.
for.
All right. So enjoy watching, and get some popcorn or something. But yeah, those will be helpful, and I'll be adding a couple and so forth. But just to answer your question, Betty's Bats is just an amalgamation, if you will, of the major areas of study that we're going to entertain this semester. That's all that is.
Okay. And just to recap with the attendance, you say you were not gonna mark until the end of the semester. That's
All we're doing for attendance, I need everybody to send me once, just once, an email, preferably to my NJCU email that says, this is so and so, and for this particular course, I intend to take this course this semester. And this way I can check off on the box that I have to check off, thanks to, the administrative end of things, that yes, the student is currently taking the course. I do that once, and that's the end of attendance.
okay.
So just an email within the next, week, no more than a couple of weeks, because in about 2 weeks they ask about everybody. Has so and so attended? And I guess I'm not sure, but I think they use it for like financial aid or whatever the administration uses it for. It's got nothing to do with me because I've
Uh,
always been a bully. believer, you pay your money, you want to come, you don't want to come, don't come, but they have a different view. Go ahead, Darren, what's up?
I sent you mine on Sunday. I don't know if you got it, but
Say, okay, what I may or may not have, what is it you're asking and what can I answer?
no, I for the attendance, I sent my email to
Oh,
you.
okay. Then I'm sure if you did, I don't want to speak too soon, but let me just
I
make
also
a
did.
note. Yeah, Carolina, I see yours.
You might
Um,
see me as Rosa because Carolina is my preferred name, but Rosa is
okay,
the name that it will appear always on my assignments. Is my first name.
okay. And
Yes,
let
I
me
sent
just,
it to your
yeah,
NJC.
Darren, I did get yours. I already have a check mark on my, thing here, so I did. So you guys are all set. You don't need to send me anything.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
All
cool.
right. All right. So, any other questions or things I can answer for you?
I think I'm good.
For me.
Good deal. All right. Well, then reach out, email me. Best way to reach me for a quicker response, which is not the same thing as saying it's always a quick response, but a quicker response is using my Gmail because I check that 100 times a day. So, with that, just reach out to me if you need me. We need a private Zoom. We'll do a private Zoom, whatever it takes. And blessings. Have a great evening, and we'll chat soon.
Thank you.
Good night,
Bye.
Professor.
You bet. Have a great evening.